Say this night
Thank you.
important. The nature said to them, but if I write the about not important, and it's wrong job.
Okay, we have an expert of Tanakh here. Today's Sikha, besides being a classic, unbelievable Rashi Sikha, it highlights a chapter of Jewish history which almost a massive civil war that broke out in the early years of settling Eretz Yisrael and how it was averted. Fascinating story. Our expert in Tanakh will help us out. The Rebbe had a koch in the Rashi Pshuta Shel Mikra. The Rashi has an expression, Hadrash Alime Basel Pshuta Shel Mikra. Hadrash Dorish. The Rebbe once asked, but until Rashi came, they used to say Drash. My mother-in-law was just 2 weeks ago. My parents live here. So she has a brother who lives a couple of blocks over here. So, my brother loves this and this pirush. It's amazing pirush. Whatever. So,
What is the brother?
my mother-in-law has a brother who lives.
Mother-in-law.
Schwieger had a
Yeah.
brother?
Yeah. There's a couple. Silverstein. The first house after this guy that davens here, the next house.
Yeah.
You know this guy that davens here? Yeah.
You're about to
Yeah.
on East 19?
Yeah. So unbelievable. I don't want to say the name of the Mefoidish.
Right.
Taka very gishmaka pirush, and everyone likes him. But I don't connect him well because to him it's a mixture. Pshat, Remes, Drush, rationalizing the you know, I'm a little bit spoiled over here with the Rebbe. Pshat, huh? For the Baba Sali, and also would have to melt a little the ice over here. That was good to. Okay. So it's like the Rashi came along and he was a Kiddush. The Rashi said, we're going to learn Pshat. Everyone till now that learned Drash, Shidorish. The Rebbe said, Rashi was onof, right? Rashi was a humble person, Mastama, right? So if Rashi came to me, Machadish, Pshat, so he should have said first, had Rashi Dorish. Vani gam ken yefarish Pshuta Shel Mikra.
No, if you know Pshuto should make it's easier.
ואני לא באתי אלא
Elamai Rashi said, had gehalt Hashita. That the Ayid first you have to learn Pshat.
Right.
It's very nice. I hear the training of Bnei Yeshiva a lot of times, learning. But this is the Chidush of the Rebbe. I'm not blaming anyone. And this is very important in the Furdish. I'll say who it is. Malbim. Yeah. I like the Malbim, but I have a problem a lot of times. He's rationalizing and explaining. The truth is, it's like the Malbim is Adin Steinsaltz of 100 years ago, really. What he's doing is he's bringing it down. But a lot of times he mixes Drash and Pshat. Rashi sagt azoi. The first thing we have to learn is Pshat. It's not that he was trying to toot his horn. Rashi is telling the Seder Avodas Hashem. That before you learn Drash, Soy, Remez, Medaf verstehen gruntig the Pshat. Every word, the diktuk of the word, the Pshat of the word, the Pshat of what is happening here in Pshut Shemekra. Then we can go deeper into Yena Shel Torah, into Drash, into Remez. The first thing has to be Pshat. So it wasn't the union of Gaiv of Mitzad Rashi. It was Rashi was just telling you that first you have to learn Pshat, and then Hadrash Yadorish. This is a classic Rashi. Sicha, no different. Just the Chiddush tonight is that I just want to give it the Kitzur because a little bit of Arichas in the Sicha. Okay. Every Lubavitcher Chos, it says it every day. Every Yid puts it on his film every day. We say it because when we put a minute on tefillin, you're not supposed to stop as I put a minute on tefillin. So we say Shema v'hoyim shemoy v'yomer Kadesh v'hoya kiviyach and sheish schidus. So the last three psukim is v'hoya kishol chavin chamoch alem mazois v'marta elav v'chozik yodet sin Hashem v'tzrayim v'beis abodim. Vayiki hik shefar l'shalchene bayareg Hashem kol b'chor beretz b'tzana b'choron v'b'chor behema. Al keina mizavech l'Hashem kol peter rechem hazachorim v'chol b'chor b'nei evda. Okay, that's the main two psukim, and then the pasuk finishes v'oy lois al yotcho l'tavas b'necha ki b'chor yod etzion Hashem ha'mitzrayim. The Medrash Tanchuma says, and so is in the Mechilta, similar to that. V'oy yishalcha v'ncha mocha yesh mocha shu achshav yesh mocha shu achazman. Kisholcha bincha mocher leima mazois harei ocher lachazman. And that's in Parshas Vaschanon. Mocher yiyeh ha'ois hazeh. When the Eibishter told Moshe and told Pharaoh, mocher yiyeh ha'ois hazeh in this week's parsha, harei mocher mamash mocher tomorrow. Yeah, that's mocher achshav in 24 hours. That's not l'mocher lachazman, which is 25 years. It means tomorrow. When Moshe Rabbeinu said mocher yiyeh ha'ois hazeh, he doesn't mean mocher lachazman in 25 years. He means achshav in 24 hours. Mocher anoichen nitzav arosh agiva mocher achshav mocher yom v'nechem levaneinu harei mocher lachazman. Mazois. What was the question of the child mitzvah's passing? Rashi says l'choyre a redux of what all the Midrashim say. Rashi says kisholcha v'ncha mocher yesh mocher shu achshav yesh mocher shu lachazman kagon zeh ukigon mocher yom v'nechem levaneinu d'vnei god d'vnei Reuven. Such a simple Rashi. How could the Rebbe make trouble with such a simple Rashi? Such a simple Rashi. So first the Rebbe says, wait a minute. All the Meforshim say, why does Rashi not bring a raya to Yesh Mocher Shu Achshav? Because it's obvious, he doesn't have to bring a raya. The kid is already learning so many psukim where Moshe Rabbeinu warns Pari and he says, Mocher Yeh Ois Hazeh. The child, you don't have to remind him. It was only a few psukim earlier, so you don't have to remind him.
What does Mocha mean tomorrow?
Mocha means tomorrow.
So it's a child to wonder. So
Huh?
that's what Mocha means.
That's what Mocha means. So, why does it have to say anything? Rashi just should have said, Yesh Mocha Shalach Hazman. The Kiddush is not that in 24 hours.
Because the pasuk would have made sense tomorrow.
Huh?
Why does the pasuk wouldn't make sense meaning tomorrow?
So what does it mean?
It means Hazman.
That's what Rashi should say. What is he saying? Yesh Mocha Shu Achshav. What is he saying? If he's trying to say something, bring me a pasuk for it. And you tell me he doesn't have to bring a pasuk. Because it was like Moshe Rabbeinu said, Mocher Yeh Ois Hazeh, tomorrow in 24 hours, 12 o'clock noon, tomorrow 12 noon at Zayin De'ois. So if that's what Rashi means, so
the Rashi had a question, what's the word mocho? And I said, you know what the word mocho?
Yesh Mocher Shu Achshav, Yesh Mocher Hazman. The emphasis Rashi later in Vaschanon says, but then he says Bekitzer. Over there he says, Kisholcha bincha mocher lemamai desachukim mishpotim. Rashi says, Kisholcha bincha mocher yesh mocher shu achazman. It doesn't say yesh mocher shu achshav. It says yesh mocher. Yeah. Very good to have a chumash here. Very good. So why is it Rashi saying over here, yesh mocher shu achshav? And he doesn't bring a pasuk. The Medrash brings a pasuk. He doesn't bring a pasuk. Why? Because it's obvious. So why are you saying yesh mocher shu achshav?
Maybe why Rashi said that, because a lot of time in the Chumash, it's La'atid Lavo.
Okay,
not
so bring a raya.
This is why I said
That's what. So that's. But first of all,
La'atid Lavo.
That's not the first time the word mocho is saying in the Parshas.
and then he said it a few times, and
Rashi didn't bother.
And it meant tomorrow and all that.
and it means tomorrow.
And Rashi didn't bother to say nothing.
Remember, because every Torah knows it means tomorrow. So if that's what Rashi wants to say, you don't have to tell me anything. Bottom line is, if you tell me a raya for mocher lachazman, and you're not telling me a raya mocher shu achshav, so because you're thinking that it's so poshut, so if it's so poshut, don't tell me anything. Also, if you start nitpicking over here, Rashi is a lot of things. First of all, why does Rashi say that? Rashi quotes a pasuk, and he says that that's the story of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven. Why don't you say that? A lot of times Rashi doesn't say. Rashi assumes that you're going to know which Sefer in Tanakh it is. You could say the Sefer Yeshua, the Sefer Shoftim, the Sefer Malachim. He's saying Kagon Mocher Yomru V'nechem Lavaneinu V'nei Gad V'nei Reuven. Why is he like? And Mechlal, if we're soon going to learn the whole story in Yeshua, every time which Shevet goes first, Gad or Reuven? Who was older, Gad or Reuven? Reuven. And in the story of Yeshua, the mention of God and Reuven is about 10 times, and each time Reuven is first and God is second. Because Reuven is an earlier Shevet. Why is Rashi saying Devnei God or Devnei Reuven? This is a typical nitpick deal from the Rebbe. And unfortunately, usually, whatever, Rashi was tired, it wasn't open. 4:00 in the morning, please give him a break. But the Rebbe is Medaik always in these things, and the Rebbe's beard is Lahafli. It's Lahafli. Okay.
Did you ask already why we need 2 dugmas?
What do you mean? Where's the 2 dugmas? The Rebbe doesn't ask it, and we have to see. Could be Lloyd Rebbe's beard will be Musher.
Well, there you're talking about the word Bnei Bnei Gad Bnei Reuven. Yom Machal you move Bnei the same like we saw Yishalch ben Cho.
Yeah.
It's Bnei No.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Bnei Chem.
Yeah.
Bnei No.
Yeah.
Talking also about children.
Right. No. It's and you see in the bio that it's Negeya. So Nekudas Habir. So first, there's a few. First of all, the Rebbe says that you see Malamdim, whenever they teach it to children, they say that what are we talking about? The child is asking because a little bit because it has to do with Agod. It sounds like Hilu. What do you mean Mocher? Pesach is once a year. So Lach as well means once a year in Pesach he has to fear Kashas. Once a year Pesach he has to fear Kashas. But the emphasis it's in Pshat. It's not true. Because in Pshat, if you're reading the Psukim, is Yeshaelch Avincha Mocher Lem Mazos. And Vehikiv, that from the answer, you see what the kash is. The child asks, they're making a pidyon aben. The child says to Tati, Maza osim pidyon, Maza pidyon aben. Then he sees they make a pidyon petach hamoyer. They said, Abba, Maza pidyon petach hamoyer, Maza. So the father says that the Eibishter killed the firstborn of the Egyptians. And he was Mekadesh, the firstborn, like it says earlier in Rashi, brings the B'shaz the Eibishter killed the firstborn of the Egyptian. He took for himself. It was Mekadesh, the firstborn of the Jewish child, and that's what the father's telling his son.
Also for the man, Mazir.
Huh?
Man, why they call it man? They don't know what it is.
Exactly. So what happens? The shaila is the child is going to ask. When is the child going to ask? The Pashtus. Why should we dafka mocher? He's going to ask. As soon as there's going to be a ceremony, they're going to make a pidyon aben, and the tati is going to take his little son by the hentel and bring him to the pidyon aben. The child is going to say, Abba, Maze. They'll take him to a pidyon petach hamoyer, or somewhere in Bnei Brak.
That's when he's 30 days still.
Somewhere in Bnei Brak where they're making a big petach hamoyer ceremony.
People do it like a big ceremony with the petach hamoyer.
So the father's going to take him. It's once in 10 years, and it's exciting. So,
I wasn't born.
Yeah.
Right.
So the son goes with his father to the pidyon petach hamoyer, and he says, Abba, Maze. The father tells him. So it's bothering Rashi's. What's pshat mocher? And what happens if it's hayoim? What happens if hayoim there's a pidyon aben? What's the loshen mocher? It's the loshen mocher. Later in the Torah, right now everyone knows what happened with Yitzias Mitzrayim. But lachazman, that your children, the grandchildren, forget or they were young and don't remember. When they'll ask you, you'll tell them the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim. So then the Shaykh Shikha, that 30 years later, and he was a baby b'shas, so he wasn't born, and he's going to ask, and we're saying Moed Chukim Mishpatim is to do with Korban Pesach, the din of Pesach, and he's going to ask. Here is something else. What's going to happen is that the father is going to take his son to a pidyon aben ceremony, and the child is going to ask, Maza. So over there, Gabi Pesach, I understand that this year Pesach no one's going to ask. Next year, but Lamocher Lachazman in 30 years, a child, or 3,334 years, a child is going to say, Maza, the manishtana, Maza.
We never talk about children inside that after they went out inside, next year they're asking the parents.
They're not asking Maza. Exactly. So in Veschanan, which we say means the chukis and the edus mishpatim of the Pesach. You understand? Here, what's bothering Rashi is, we're talking about a child that went with his father to pidyon aben, and he says, Abba, Maze. So why does it have to be mocher? What's the mit mocher? Hayom lo yachol liot pidyon aben? What's the pshat mocher? Rashi answers, Achidush Dover, and he has no raya for apostle. Yesh mocher shu achshav. Achshav, right now, today. Mocher doesn't mean mocher means a thing in zman. Later, you're going to bring him to Pidyon Haben. L'mocheros, it doesn't mean tomorrow physically. It means right after the ceremony. Yesh mocher shu achshav, aval v'od rega. Yesh mocher shu achshav. That's a big chidush. The Rebbe says the problem is so many meforshim are so mefulful that they're just not reading the words of Rashi. Yesh mocher shu achshav. Shat. Yesh mocher, it's a chidush davar. There's no raya from a pasuk. Yesh, because when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Paroi and he said that mocher, he meant mocher keis hazois. It means tomorrow, 12 o'clock. But Rashi is saying a chidush that yesh mocher shu achshav. Right now, it's going to happen right now. You're going to take your child to Pidyon Haben with our ceremony of Pidyon Petach Hamor, and the child is going to say, Tati, Maza, and Vamarta Elov. Why is it that the Eibishter, even because over here, it's not that the child forgot, but the child might not know. It's not like Korban Pesach. It's we're celebrating Yetzias Mitzrayim. Here's an andazach. We see that baby's coming with a tray, with garlic, with jewelry. Tati, Maza. So the father says, you remember that the Eibishter killed the firstborn of the Egyptian. So at that time, he took every Jewish child and he made him his. And therefore, we redeem. It belongs to the Eibishter. We redeem him. So the Rebbe has a brilliant shot now. But there was an earlier Rashi says that there's a machloikis if Kotsha B'chord is only now or later when they went into Eretz Yisrael. The Yesh Emrim Gehoya Kiviyach only when they came into Eretz Yisrael. The Yesh Emrim there was right away Gamba Midbar Kotsha B'chord. So if you say the Gamba Midbar Kotsha B'chord is Mocher Shu Achshav. But if you say according to the opinion that the B'chord is only Skadish later, so how long we don't know. The point let him 40 years. The Eibishter really wanted to take them straight away. It could have been 40 days. It could have been 3 days. It could have been 11 days. Whatever. It could have been a very short period of time. That's what it says. Taka bincha, not ben bincha. But the plan wasn't they're going from Mitzrayim to Eretz Yisrael in 2 hours. Even if it would have been fast, it would have been in 3 days, 11 days. It would have they would have went. But so therefore, Rashi is saying two pshatim that there's yesh mocher shu achshav. V'yesh.
He started with this one.
Yeah, v'yesh mocher shu lachas man. So there is Kigon Zeh that which is the Pashtup Shah that he's asking right now. But there is Meken Oichet Zog. That's what the Rebbe is saying. Meken Oichet Zog. Are you going to tell me? I said a free Rashi. I said that there's no Pidyon Haben happening right now because it's only happening once they're going to go into Eretz Yisrael. So he's saying there is also Kigoin of Mocher Yemre V'neichem Lavanenu, the B'nei Gad of B'nei Reuven, that was taka a long time later. And then the Rebbe says B'oimek Yoser also over there. That and this is a little bit of a pella. The Rebbe says also the gis and the Rashi that there's a lot of gis over here and there's a irvu for a little bit in gisos. So it could be but that in the story over there there's a little bit of a. Let's read the story and see the pella in the story and then see how it could be a raya for both for Achshav and for Lachazman. Huh?
The Rebbe is saying that the Rashi is giving two pshatim in this pasuk. He's not saying a grammar rule. He's giving a taich in this pasuk.
Yeah.
Two possibilities.
Right. That one yesh mocher. Yeah.
That when this pasuk says macher, it could be either achshav or the same
mocher
could be macher.
Enzain. It's totally how you're learning when the mitzvah Petach Hamor and Pidyon Haben was going to happen. Yeshua Perek Chav. Okay, so it's a beautiful story. After the 14 years of fighting and dividing Eretz Yisrael, the Yidden established the Beis Hamikdash in Shiloh, and Yeshua gave the brachas to Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad Chatzei Menashe, and they traveled from Shiloh Asher be'eretz Canaan l'leches l'eretz Hagilot l'eretz Hachazosim asher noichel zova al pi Hashem b'yad Moshe v'yavoyu al glilus hayarden asher be'eretz Canaan v'yivnu b'nei Reuven b'nei Gad Chatzei Menashe Shem mizbeach al hayarden Mizbeach Godel Lamara. Huge Mizbeach. Yishma b'nei Yisrael Eimer. Hine vonu b'nei Reuven b'nei Gad v'chatz shevet haManashe as a Mizbeach al Mul Eretz Canaan el Glilas HaYarden al Eiver b'nei Yisrael. That they built it. Okay, we're talking about the Malbim already. So the Malbim says el Eiver b'nei Yisrael means that they built it in the side of b'nei Yisrael. They didn't build it in their side of the Yarden. They built it in the side of b'nei Yisrael, which was a trick why they did it, as you'll see soon.
What was the mission of the Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad? They were
fighting, right?
And it's him,
Right, and now they're going back home.
Yeah, well, why they build up?
Oh, wait a minute, you'll know. Vayishmu b'nei Yisrael, vayikolu kol adas b'nei Yisrael shiloi, lalas aleim latzov. The Jews heard what they did, and all the Jews gathered to Shiloh with a plan of going to war against God, Reuven, and Chatz Shevet Menashe. Vayishluchu b'nei Yisrael as b'nei Reuven, el b'nei Reuven, b'nei God, v'Chatz Shevet Menashe, al Eretz Gilad, as Pinchas ben Elazar HaKohen. Vasor Nesim Imon. Nasi Echad.
Why they wanted to fight with them?
Why they want to fight with them? Because the again, I'm sorry, I read it said something not nice about Malbim. I'll keep on quoting the Malbim now. So the Malbim explains that the Mishnah says Mishabol Shilin Nesru Abamos, and now that they came to Shiloh and they established the Beis Mikdash, was also to have a bama.
And they make a big
made a big bama. So they
established
the Mishkan in Shiloh. The Mishkan stood in Shiloh for 369 years.
Their own. They made it their own.
So couldn't they go
They
to
sounded
Sanhedrin or the Gadol Hadar to
It's funny. Why didn't they go to Yeshua? Yeshua is a Nasi and the Melech, the Manik.
and they are in John.
No, but he didn't came to Shiloh. It says Yeshua was in Shiloh at that time because Yeshua was giving a bracha.
Shiloh is not where Shiloh is not an Atisot.
Yeah, Shiloh is not Israel. But he's asking what happened. Why they're not asking Yeshua what to do? It's funny that in this pasuk they all of a sudden sent Pinchas. I understand Pinchas is a special guy,
Kohen Gadol.
but still, why didn't they talking to Yeshua? I don't know. Apella. But the Lepoil, that's what happened. They were choshid that what happened here is that these 2.5 shvatim decided to make their own mizbeach to separate themselves from Klal Yisrael. So they got very angry and they wanted to have a tzava and to go Rahman al-Islam to have a war against these 2.5 shvatim. So they sent first Pinchas to clarify what their intention is.
Okay.
And they at least they did that, exactly. But they were hot because they're already standing with the ammunition. This is a Merida B'Hashem. This is a rebellion against Hashem. One of the last sins that the Jews had before going to Eretz Yisrael was Pa'or. I mean, the hero in the story of Pa'or is Pinchas. So it makes sense that Pinchas is mentioning it. Now you made a mizbeach and you're going to go away from the Eibishter. And you're going to make a merida against Hashem. The Eibishter will be angry at all the Yidden. Why? Because one Jew is responsible for another Jew.
What was the harmony?
Why did they thought that the 10 shvatim thought that the 2.5 shvatim?
What was the 2.5 short on top of it?
And what was there? A minute, or you'll soon see in a minute. If the your land is not good in your eyes, it's like a land which is tummy. Mocher means later, and later it's going to happen exactly. Here mocher doesn't mean over here mocher means mocher lachazman. that what's going to happen is that if you're going to
all
all the Yidden suffer, because when one Yid does an Aveda, as you'll see in a few psukim later, they bring a raya of Ochan. Ochan was one person, and then there was a ketzef over all the Yidden over what Ochan did. So if to you your land is Tomei is not a good land, so okay. So forget about it. So never mind. We don't need to have the Eved HaYarden. Let's forget about it. You come with your families and live here. And here is the place where we put the Mishkan Hashem, and live among us. Hashem altim roidu. Vaisanu altim roidu bivenoiseichem lachem mizbeach mibaladim mizbach Hashem Elokeinu. And don't make that we should all be responsible for your Merida and the Eibishter by building a separate Mizbeach besides the Eibishter's Mizbeach. In other words, if you're going to say that your land is not a holy land and you have the right over there to make whatever you do, so okay, so you know what, forget about it. We don't need to have your land. Come live here in Gandik.
I have a question. Bnei Israel sent Pinchas. And after that, they said the Bnei Israel talking to Bnei Reuven. They don't say nothing about Pinchas.
Pinchas
I
is
thought-
talking.
No.
Who's talking? It says in Pasuk as well. Vayevoy bnei Reuven bnei Gad. Achat shevet Menashe laret. Vayedabru. Who is
Vayedabru?
Pinchas and the scene?
Why Vayedabru?
Because there's 11 people. So Vayedabru item lemer. And they said, Voy omru kol adas Yisrael. They're saying in the name of Adas Yisrael. Continue in Pasuk Chav. Haloi ochem ben zerach moel mal b'chedim v'kol Adas Yisrael hoya kotzev v'hu ish echad. Loi gava ba'avoinai. He wasn't the only one that was affected by his sin. Many other Jews were affected by his sin. So we see that we're responsible for another Yid. By the way, you notice Bnei Reuven is always first. Bnei Gad v'chatzi shevet Menashe v'yidabru el es rosh alfa Yisrael. El Elokim Hashem. El Elokim Hashem. They said it twice. Mefarshim say Melashon Shvuah. Hu yoideya. The Eibishter knows the truth. V'Yisrael hu yeda. And now the Yidden are going to know the truth. Im bemered v'im bemal b'Hashem. If we did it as a rebellion, and if Chas v'Shalom we wanted to be moyel, Alta Sheinu as the Eibishter should not help us. In other words, they're saying that obviously we did it with pure intentions. Even the Slonim Mizbeach Loshav Ma'achrei Hashem. If we had built the Mizbeach to go away from the Eibishter, V'im Alas Alav Oila Mincha, if we built it for an Oila and a Mincha, V'im Las Alav Zivche Shlomim, Hashem Hu Yavakish, the Eibishter is going to know. But it's not true. It's not true. It's a way of talking. They didn't say what they had in mind. They said the Eibishter knows B'Loshen Shvuah that we did not have bad intentions, and in Chas V'Shalom we did let Hashem not give us any Yeshua. And why did we really build it? Imloi midaoga midavor asinu azois. We were worried about something. That's why we did this mizbeach. What was the worry? Leimer mocha yemru v'neichem levaneinu. Your children are going to tell tomorrow our children, Leimer, Malachem v'Lashem Elokei Yisrael. What connection do you have to Hashem Elokei Yisrael?
He was the mochel far time, not now.
Gvul Nosan Hashem beineinu v'nechem. There is a natural boundary between the two countries. There is the Jordan River. Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad es hayarden. There is a gvul which is between us and the Bnei Reuven, which is the Yarden. So therefore, ein lechem chelek b'Hashem. V'ishbisu v'neichem es baneinu levilti yirei es Hashem. That your children will hold back our children from Yiras Hashem. Like told the Mefarshim say that there was Aliyah L'Regel, and they were scared that. Why would they stop them? Because they were scared that because they're so distant, that you know what I mean. Like it happens, everyone in Crown Heights says they get very Hamish, and then the shluchim come once a year, and they maybe feel a little distant. So.
Follow arm and hugging you live far away.
Yeah.
Might not be legit.
Exactly.
Asking.
Yeah, exactly. They were scared.
Out of town, boy.
Yeah, you're from out of town.
Maybe the question on your lineage or whatever.
Exactly. Your yichus is not so stark. You're not geshe. Vanoimar, yeah. Vanoimar. Therefore, we said, Nasa no lonu livnes esam mizbeach. Loy zavach. We're going to make a mizbeach that is not usable, not for oil, not for a zavach.
Right, bro.
Not.
For what?
Oh, so for what was it? Again, today I'm going to use a lot of Malbim. So Malbim says, if you notice in the beginning when they built it. Two things they did odd. If they wanted to make a mizbeach, they should have built it on the side of Jordan, which is closer to them. Well, even
closer to soil.
closer to Israel. Why are you doing such a yokalisha thing?
Wait. They did it on the Eretz Yisrael.
On the Eretz Yisrael side of Jordan. Huh?
They want them to know.
That's the emes. So if they really did it to make avodah zarah,
You would think
they should have side. Why doing it on the other side? Another thing.
What's the other side of Jordan? It's Israel, Jordan, and then what?
And then
The side of the tribes, and he did it.
on the Israeli, they did it on the Israeli side of the Jordan, not on the Jordanian side of the Jordan. So that's one odd thing. Why did they do that? And the other odd thing is that they made a mizbeach godel lamata. What does it mean godel lamata? He explains that Poshik, they made it so big that you can't climb up to the top of it. And not only that, needless to say, the pasuk does not mention about a ramp. In order to get to a mizbeach in the base of Mikdash, you needed a ramp. They built no ramp, and not only did they not build a ramp, but they made it so big that it's almost impossible to climb to the top of it. So why are you building such a crazy mizbeach? If you want to bring a oil of a zevach and a mizbeach, why are you building it so big that you can't climb onto the top of it? The Kohanim is supposed to bring it up there. What are they going to do? Take a helicopter and bring the sheep with a helicopter? So then they explain to Pinchas and to the 10 Nesiim, from this is that you see, we made up a mizbeach. You can't bring an oil of a zevach on it. We don't have helicopters to bring the shepselach over there. So how are we going to make it? Elamai, aid hu beinenu veinechem, ubedenasenu acharenu lave des avodas Hashem lefonav, ve'oilosenu v'zevachenu v'shlamenu v'loyome v'neichem mocher levanenu elarem chelek b'Hashem, which is the pasuk that Rashi quotes. This is the quote. Mocher yemru v'neichem levanenu.
They can say something else. We have no Kohanim here. How are they going to make the korbanos?
It's symbolic.
It's right. Why is it symbolic? It's like this.
How does that help them?
Well, how's that going to help? Because it's a huge monument. It's a weird monument. It's like it's the first sculpture that was weird, and the sculptor had a psaza machshava as a Moshe Kapoyer. That the point was that to say that the mizbeach that's here close to the Jordan is an unusable mizbeach. Why did we build an unusable mizbeach? Every person is going to ask, which Michigan built this huge mizbeach that you can only get to the top with a helicopter? Many years later, that they're going to say, Ein lachem chelek b'elokei Yisrael, our children will say, what's this funny monument that's sitting there for the past 500 years? This huge mizbeach to the sky. It's a mizbeach, but it's unusable. Who makes a mizbeach that's not usable? Because our forefathers made a mizbeach to show that we shall never bring korbanos only in the base of Mikdash, in Shiloh, or in Yerushalayim. That's why we built a mizbeach that's unusable. We built a mizbeach that you can't use it. So why did we build it? As a monument to say that the only place our children are going to go is to the base of Mikdash where all the Yidden go. If it's in Shiloh, if it's Noiv, if it's Givan, Yerushalayim, wherever it's going to be, but it's going to be in one place.
Remind me this the island that has one Jew, but he built two shores.
Right. Exactly. You see how it goes well in the words? Look at this weird monument they made. It's not right to bring an oil. It's not right to bring a zevach. Beinenu v'neichem. So therefore you know from this a chalilu lanu mimenu limrid b'Hashem v'lo shaviyim achil Hashem livnis mizbach lo oilo l'mincha v'lazevach malvad mizbach Hashem alkeinu asher lifnei mishkani. Yishma Pinchas HaKohen Nesiya Eda v'Rosh Alf Yisrael asher ites advarim asher dibru b'nei Ruven b'nei Gad b'nei Menashe v'yitev b'nei v'yem Pinchas ben Elazar HaKohen of b'nei Ruven b'nei Gad b'nei Menashe. He wanted to appease them. Hayodanu k'b'sachenu hayom yodanu k'b'sachenu Hashem sheroloi ma'altem Hashem amal hazeh az itzaltem as b'nei Yisrael miyad Hashem. Vayoshav Pinchas ben Elazar HaKohen Manasim Eis b'nei Ruven b'nei Gad me'eretz Hagilut v'eretz Canaan al b'nei Yisrael v'yeshiva yisam dover v'yitev hadover b'nei Yisrael v'yivorchu elikim b'nei Yisrael v'lo yomru l'alas aleim latzav l'shachris es ha'oretz asher b'nei Ruven and b'nei Gad yoshvim bo, and they decided that they're not gonna go chas v'shalom as a tzava to b'mashchis their land. Vayikru b'nei Ruven and b'nei Gad l'mizbeach ki eidu beinesenu ki Hashem ho Elokim.
Who sent the Bnei Reuven and Gad and everybody? Yeshua.
Yeshua.
No, he sent them forever?
Yeah,
He sent them just to build up the place.
So looking on the frame.
You have a lot of
This is-
sheep.
They
What's that
asked,
for?
they asked.
So they're past. They asked.
They asked,
We have a lot of sheep.
they asked
We can't
Moshe,
afford them at Israel.
they asked Moshe, they said they won't need much more land. And
Right. Moshe said, agreed, right?
You want to go
Moshe asked
you wanna go
David,
to Dubai? Go live in Dubai.
Did Moshe ask David? Sure.
Right. Yes, he did. Yes.
Right, so did, after this story, was there any problems with those Yisrael
No,
there?
no.
First Moshe got scared. Said, "Oh, you're doing the same thing about what already happened with the Meraglim before." He's scared. Then he said, "No. We're gonna go to war first."
Yeah.
Oh, so then you are part of it.
Maybe also there were a lot of people, 2.5 and they were afraid they would stay there. They have nothing to go to the Shiloh to kill korbanot. So let's make something for us.
No,
So
they didn't.
No, I'm saying Bnei
The
Israel
Yisrael was scared.
was good. Yeah.
They were scared that that's what they're doing. So the Rebbe says a few things here from the story. Why is Rashi saying? Why did Rashi says that there's a story of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven? Why would you? That we find that Bnei Gad were in a way had more Mesiris Nefesh than Bnei Reuven. Rashi says it in Pshat. He says that later in the Torah it says. Rashi says that
They can pull. They can.
yeah, and they were first. They were standing first in the army, and
Reuben was second.
when they when they sliced the enemy,
Zorav could call.
V'zroya avkodkud. That they had a special method. These guys,
When they kill somebody, you know who killed them.
Atazai,
They cut
gave
them water
Atazai,
in one shot.
Atazai,
Not
had-
to chop the head.
Atazai. They didn't stop chop the head. They did Azai
Water.
Hider mitzvah. They did it. Zroya avkodkud. So we see that the Bnei Gad had more Mesiris Nefesh than any other Shevet. They had an unbelievable Mesiris Nefesh to go on the front line, and they had Mesiris Nefesh. So l'choyre they had such Mesiris Nefesh. So why would someone think that they're not? But they were worried. They were worried. So the Rebbe says you could say like this. Also in the story there,
Thank God.
the Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven, they were worried. So l'choyre, why are you worried? Why are you worried? So there has to be two things. The main worry was that many generations will go by and things chas v'shalom will be forgotten. The truth is that unfortunately that's really what happened. Not exactly the way they thought it's going to happen, a little differently, but what happened was that the Yidden of Eva Yarden, a lot of them became Ovdei Avodah Zarah. But it never happened exactly what they were scared is going to happen. That when they were Oila Regel, that the Jews shouldn't let them, that never happened. But they were worried about it. So over there we see one thing, that on one hand we see Mocher Kamin Lachazman. On the other hand, we also see that Lepoil, when did they build it? They could have waited, they go back. They built it right away. They built it right away.
That mocha over there is now. When the Rashi bring the mocha over there, it's now.
So Agam Be'emes it means Be'ikir means La'achazman. But Lapoel, they built the monument, this weird monument they built, take it from Yad Mamash. Why? Because they were worried. Verves. Again, the Iker worry was what's going to happen, what's going to happen many generations later. But maybe they had a little daiga that said to them, let's build a monument, not tomorrow. They built it mamish on their way walking from Shiloh home. They built this funny monument right away.
This is like when you go to a war. First things when you conquer, you put your flag. What does the flag do?
That's them gleich gemacht etwas, also ist gedeiget.
The flag. There was the flag there.
Yeah, that was the flag.
They won't let them do it later.
Yeah, it could be also later, but again, schlafen also. This guy's gonna so I'm not sure, but Lepoil, that's what the Rebbe says. So that's why he mentions God first. That even though you might think that God had Mesiris Nefesh, the most Mesiris Nefesh, but still they were scared that over time everything will be forgotten. So Mitzad Echad Mocher from there we see means take a very long time. Mitzad Sheni, they built the monument immediately. Zabazach in this pasuk, the Ikechshad is that a child is going to ask a shaila no long time, but also shayach that the child should ask even now. A child that doesn't understand what's going on, take him to a pidyon abed. And the child says, "What's the ceremony?" So the father has to explain to him. That b'shas the makas b'choyrim, the Eibishter was makadosh the b'choyrim. So the Rebbe says, "Al derech harem is." That Rashi is saying that there's two types of yesh mocher shuachshev, yesh mocher lachazman. There's two types of children. There's a child when you come to a new country, you didn't come to a new country, but he's still connected to the yichus, to the parents. But there is a child that right away, blends into
You're born in America. Right?
Yeah, an Americana.
Yeah.
And so a person's going to say, I could connect to this type of child, and I can't connect to the other child. So we have to know that there's all kinds of children. There's a child which is, to him is mocher shuachsher, and there's a child that is lachazman. When the Torah says that kisholcha mincha mocher, Rashi is masbir that there's two types of children. There's a child which is a achshav child, and then there's a child which is lachazman child. There is a child which is connected. He connects to the whole, to the whole thing of Yadus very well. He connects to his Mereshes Avaisa very well. And there is a child that doesn't connect so well. It's a modern Americana. So Rebbe's Loshen. I'm just using. To him, when you talk to him about Yadus, Meret of Turkish is what the Rebbe's word is. Meret of Turkish. It's expression Yiddish. This other kid, Meret of Turkish.
There's no clue what you're talking
There's
about.
no clue what you're talking about.
Turkish is a very hard language. So
Oh, that's why?
that's what the Rosh Yeshiva told me many years.
Yeah.
The Rosh.
Meret of Turkish. I don't know. I think it just sounds good. Meret of Turkish. So the Rebbe said that that's the Remez and Rashi. It doesn't matter which kind of kid we're talking about. If we're talking about the kid which connects very well to Meresh's voice of, are we talking? There has to be a mahalach for every child. There has to be a mahalach for every child. We shall hope that we should find the mahalach to every one of our children, to all the children of Klal Yisrael, which are all bincha. We should find a way for every one of them to make them excited in Mitzvah Hashem about the Gula, and with them zechet and to the Gula Mitzvah Hashem and the Mashiach Tzedkenu.
Amen.
Does Rebbe have a maskana which
Still a part of the Babasali.
The Sifim, I'm going to go to the Sifim, more used than the Nishmul Gedekesicha. Because Gedekesicha, I'm not so clear to me, if you saw, it's not so clear to me what the Maskana is. It's like, walking between the raindrops. So even though usually I say all these, the words in Gedekesicha,
Sharing a wine.
So, and the Shaila you asked, I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
more
But I do see that the Rebbe brings notice here